On this week's show, the Arizona Rattlers are the number 1 seed heading into the IFL playoffs, and ratings for HBO's Hard Knocks are not very good this year.
In this week's history lesson, we tell the story of the time when the Detroit Lions and the Minnesota Vikings both wore white jerseys during a game.
That and so much more this week in the world of football.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of This Week in the World of Football. This is episode number 211 for August 24th, 2021. I'm your host, Randy Snow, and across the table from me, as always, is my son, Adam.
Yeah, man, what a football week this week was.
Lots of CFL action.
Lots of CFL action. And then, we got some news, too, that's not great in regarding the CFL.
Yep.
And just some COVID stuff, and man, oh man.
COVID is not going away.
Yeah, that's very prevalent in the news this week.
Yeah.
Especially for what we got on our rundown.
It's still affecting football games and how you attend the game, but we'll get on into all that here in a little bit.
Yep.
We come to you each week from the World of Football Man Cave, located right here in the center of the football world, Kalamazoo, Michigan. We're here to promote the game of football in all its many forms, past, present, and future. From the NFL to the CFL to the XFL, college, high school, indoor, and arena football, we inform and entertain our listeners with the glorious buffet that is the world of football. All this while keeping a close eye on the rich history of the game. Thanks for checking out our podcast. We'd love to get your feedback on one of our many platforms: Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and now YouTube, where we post the entire audio portion of this show as well as selected video highlights. So let's review what happened this past week, starting with Adam and the World of Football scoreboard.
That's right. We're going to kick things off with Week 3 of the Canadian Football League, and that all started last Thursday night, where the Edmonton Elks finally got their first win of the season. This time, they played the British Columbia Lions, and they defeated the Lions 21-16. It was a sellout crowd there in British Columbia. It was their first home game of the season, so
good to see that.
Exciting to see that, and like a lot of these teams we're going to talk about, it's the first time having a home game in 2 years.
Right, yeah.
So
since the 2019 season.
Yeah, so I mean, real crazy, real special, so fans are coming out in full force, pretty much full force and supporting their teams. But yeah, so Edmonton getting their first win as the Elks. Edmonton quarterback Trevor Harris had a heck of a game, 26-31, 296 yards passing, and he threw a touchdown. So good for him. Running back for the Elks, James Wilders ran 22 times for 127 yards. And wide receiver Greg Ellington caught 9 passes for 148 yards in the win.
That's quite a trio of performances in that game.
Yeah, good performances, but like they've shown flashes of being real good. Like that first game, Harris was 333 yards passing, but he threw 3 interceptions in that first game of the season. So we knew that they could move the ball down the field, but at the same time, would turnovers be a problem? And here, luckily they get the W this time. And for British Columbia, I thought British Columbia would be a smidge more competitive in this one. I mean, I know they got rid of their kicker that we talked about that last week.
Yep.
But I thought, British Columbia, I mean, it's only a 5-point loss. So,
right.
I mean, whatever. It's still early in the season.
They should have been, really out for the game. Yeah, maybe they were. Maybe they just ran up against a team that was running on all cylinders.
In the CFL, I think right now all these teams are, I won't say completely evenly matched, but it's still so early in the season. It's hard to say who the best team is. I know they do like their CFL power rankings every week, and so we'll see.
It's hard to beat a team when you've got a 100-yard receiver, a 100-yard rusher, and a quarterback that throws for nearly 300 yards. Yeah. That's a lot of offense.
That is a lot of offense. But I mean, that British Columbia defense. Since we talked about it also last week, at halftime of that first game, that defense had stepped up after that point, and I mean, still only allowing 21 points is, nothing to sneeze at, but I mean, that offense has got to do something to help that defense out a little bit. So, all right, we're going to move on. The Calgary Stampeders defeated the Montreal Alouettes 28-22, and boy, oh boy, what a finish for this game. We'll get to that in a second, but let's talk about Calgary rookie quarterback Jake Meyer. Oh,
yeah. I think it's mare, like a horse mare.
Okay.
The way they were pronouncing it on TV.
So he had to fill in for injured quarterback Bo Levi Mitchell, who we talked last week about. His first 0-2 start to the season, and he'd never done that before, and a little bit of a surprise. But I mean, filling in for a guy like Bo Levi Mitchell. He threw Mayer threw 16 of 20. He was 16 of 29 passing for 304 yards. Threw a touchdown, couple interceptions. What do you expect from a rookie?
Right.
But everybody, I mean, what we talked about after this was that final play of the game. I mean, Montreal was in it, right there at the end.
Yep.
They threw that pass, and the way the guy caught it, his feet were in the end zone, but just where he had the ball was just right there about the one.
Yeah, he had to reach out of the end zone to get the ball. The ball never crossed the goal line. They looked at it. They sent that to the command center in Toronto to look at, and they said no, the ball did not cross the goal line. So, and that was as time expired. That was the last play of the game, and what an exciting ending. If he'd have caught that, and across the goal line, of course they would have won the game, but just outside the goal line.
Yeah, because they just had to kick the extra point, and then hopefully, I'm not saying that's automatic, but I mean,
sure.
But what an exciting finish! But man, you got to feel for the Alouette fans there. I mean, I feel like that's like something that would happen to the Lions, of the Detroit Lions.
Well, now Alouette fans know what it's like to be a Lions fan.
Let's not insult them that much. Moving on, the Toronto Argonauts. That's right, I'm repping a Toronto Argonauts
shirt. That's right, you
today.
are. It's a very nice shirt. I haven't seen that. You got that the other day, but I don't think you showed that to me.
Nope, I got a Toronto Argonauts shirt.
I like that.
I thought I'd rep it today, especially after they defeated the defending Grey Cup champion Winnipeg Blue Bombers 30-23. It's the first home game for Toronto, and you had to make a special note of this: 665 days.
Yep.
This is also the second week in a row, because we did talk about them losing to the Blue Bombers last week. Now this week it was like a home and home.
Right.
So they got their revenge.
Yep, they sure did.
The Argos had a 13-0 lead in the second quarter until linebacker Jesse Briggs recovered a fumble and returned it 80 yards for a touchdown. Argos quarterback Nick Arbuckle was 23 of 32 passing for 310 yards and a touchdown, while Toronto running back DJ Foster ran the ball 10 times for 101 yards and a touchdown. So that's 2 weeks in a row. The Argos have had different running backs. I think that's 2 weeks in a row. Two running backs with 11, 12 carry, less than,
I think last week was 9 carries.
I think last week was 11 carries.
For what, Josh White?
Josh White, I think 11 carries, 100-something yards. Now this week, this guy carried the ball 10 times for 101 yards. Yep. So the Argos look like they got a couple of good running backs in there. So.
Yeah. If you need any football fix, go to the CFL website, cfl.ca. Check out the recap highlights of the Argos game and the Montreal Calgary game.
Yeah,
both of those games, great highlights. I mean, we're talking about just a few plays here, but that whole game was just back and forth. Just really, really great highlights. If you want to see some great football, check out both of those games highlights. Well, check out all 4 games that were played, but I mean, those 2 especially were really great.
Yep. And then we'll end the CFL week by talking about the Saskatchewan Roughriders defeating the Ottawa Red Blacks 23-10. Saskatchewan quarterback Cody Fajardo, who's quickly becoming probably my favorite quarterback in the CFL, was 30 of 35 passing for 321 yards. No passing touchdowns.
No.
But he also led the team in rushing with 47 yards on 9 carries and a rushing touchdown. So he's been doing it with his legs quite a bit lately. And then kicker Brett Lothar kicked 5 field goals in the game for the Rough Riders.
Yeah,
so
30 of 35 passing.
That's a lot. we already talked about how the CFL is.
It's mainly passing. That's what I like about it.
It's still crazy to see 30 of 35.
Yeah,
but I mean that's also pretty accurate. I mean you only
sure
missed 5 passes, so pretty good. And then the Hamilton Tiger Cats, the team on bye this week, and real quick we'll run down the standings as they are currently. In the West, Saskatchewan now is the sole team at number 1 with a 3-0 record, followed by Winnipeg at 2-1. Then you have Edmonton, British Columbia, and Calgary, all at 1-2 to round out the West. Moving over to the East, Toronto is 2-1, Montreal and Ottawa at 1-1, and Hamilton 0-2. And I believe next week, Hamilton. Crap, I'm doing it again. Hamilton, who are they supposed to play? It's never written down in the rundown. I write it down specifically somewhere else. So Adam's going to.
But right now you've got one team still undefeated, and that's Saskatchewan at 3-0, and you got one team that's winless, Hamilton at 0-2. So everybody else has got at least one win and at least one loss.
Okay, so Hamilton is at Montreal. I have to look it up. I always use the CFL app to do that.
All right. I will put it in the rundown.
Yes, it's got to go in the rundown.
Sheesh.
Because, it's just, you don't want to just talk about them being on bye. You want to talk about who they play next. And they play the 1-1 Montreal Alouettes next week. So
all right, fine.
We'll see.
I'll try and do a better job next week, son.
Yeah, okay. Camera's right there. You looked at the wrong one.
I'm not looking at any cameras.
Oh.
I've not looked at a camera yet.
I mean, the camera's right there.
Maybe later.
You can look at it. It's right there.
No, I don't want to look at it.
I mean, for our audio listeners, this is great. For our YouTube listeners or watchers. All right, I guess I have to move on to the Indoor Football League. It was the final week of the season, Week 18. The Arizona Rattlers kicked things off. They defeated the Frisco Fighters. So this was a matchup with the top two teams, and all these games had some sort of impact on the seedings and the how everything is going to shake out. So Arizona was the number one team coming in. They're the number one team coming out. They defeat the Frisco Fighters 55-38. And the Frisco Fighters, who were number two, well, we'll talk about where that drops them in a little bit. The Sioux Falls Storm got a win over the Green Bay Blizzard 58-33, clinching a playoff spot for themselves and eliminating the Green Bay Blizzard. Yeah, like that was just they had the same record, I want to say, going into the game, and then that pretty much just, put one in, took one out.
Winner goes in, goes to the playoffs, the other one goes home.
Yep. So then the Massachusetts Pirates, who were sitting at the number 3 seed, got a win over the Iowa Barnstormers, who already clinched a spot last week. But man. I don't know if Iowa sat some guys or what, but they blew the Barnstormers' doors right off, 55-19. This is the 8th straight win for the Pirates after jumping from the National Arena League to the IFL this year.
Yeah, the Pirates could be peaking at the right time, getting in the playoffs with 8 straight wins.
We'll see. Yeah, they're going to have some competition, and we're going to talk about those playoff seedings in a second. The Tucson Sugar Skulls got a win over the Northern Arizona Wranglers, 56-38. But I guess that is the one game that might not have resulted in any playoff implication. Both these teams were eliminated anyway.
Yeah, they sure were.
And finally, the Duke City Gladiators defeated the Bismarck Bucks 57-45 to change the seedings a little bit. And then the Spokane Shock were the lone team on bye. And what a time to have a bye. Week before the playoffs start, when everybody's going to be playing.
Well, they already have secured a spot, so they're still in the playoffs.
Yep. So normally we'd sit here and we talk about the seedings, or not the seedings, the standings in the CFL, the IFL. But we're going to talk about the playoff matchups, and we're going to go from we have 3 games this upcoming Saturday night, and then we got 1 game on Sunday. So we're going to start things off. The number 2 Massachusetts Pirates are going to host the number 7 seed Bismarck Bucks, followed by the number 3 seed Frisco Fighters hosting the number 6 seed Spokane Shock, the number 4 seed Iowa Barnstormers hosting the number 5 seed Duke City Gladiators, and on Sunday, the number 1 seed Arizona Rattlers will host the number 8 seed Sioux Falls Storm.
Yep, so that leaves Green Bay, Tucson, and
Northern Arizona
as the 3 that didn't make the playoffs this year.
Yep. And we're going to talk, we still got some more IFL stuff to talk about a little later. We'll come back around to that. Okay. But that is it for the World of Football scoreboard for this week.
All right, thank you. All right, we're going to move to some NFL news. And just to prove that COVID is still out there, and it doesn't matter if you're vaccinated or not, Barry Sanders announced that he has tested positive for COVID, even though he is fully vaccinated. It happens, folks. But hopefully his symptoms are going to be extremely mild.
I think as far as we know, he's asymptomatic.
Right.
So,
last I knew, when he announced it, he didn't have any symptoms, but he was going into quarantine.
So this is the big thing. I mean, the big story also this week, the FDA finally approving of the Pfizer vaccine. So come on, people. If you were skeptical before, come on, the FDA is finally giving it its blessing. Let's do this. But, I mean, we all know it's a risk. I mean, for all we know, because I've actually I don't think I've ever had the symptoms. But as far as I know, I've never had to take a COVID test.
Yeah, I've never had a COVID test
for
either.
all we know, we could have had it,
right?
And we're just asymptomatic. We just didn't know,
right?
And here we go. Barry just happened to test for it. Turns out he has it, but he's asymptomatic, which is good, best case scenario for getting it. So we all know it lessens the risk, but you're still going to be a transmitter no matter what.
Sure.
So it's unfortunate to hear this news, but I'm glad that Barry's asymptomatic, and yeah, just go get vaccinated, everybody.
And Titans head coach Mike Vrabel also tested positive for COVID.
He found out like after because they had a preseason game Saturday. He found out Sunday, so he's going to follow the NFL protocols, doing all that. So
now they never mentioned if he had been vaccinated.
Yeah,
or not, we don't know
I
that.
scoured that article looking for any sort of hint of that, and as far as I know, there was no official information whether or not he had already been vaccinated or not.
Right.
So if he's got to have to sit out the whole protocol, but I think that the rules for the NFL's COVID right now is. If you are vaccinated, you just have to test negative 2 times in a row within 48 hours, I want to say.
Is it 48 hours?
I think 2 negative tests in 48 hours.
Okay.
But I think the other side of it is you have to, if you test, you have to be out 10 days or something like that. And I know there was a story about Cam Newton having a mix-up or a mishap with his COVID test or something.
Well, wasn't it last year on Hard Knocks that somebody tested positive and it turned out to be false? I don't know if I'm remembering that correct or not. But
I forget which player, but
there have been some false positive.
And Matt Stafford last year when he was with the Lions,
Stafford did.
He was the one that the rule changed because he was had a false, and man, oh man, that was a whole ordeal. But I mean, we obviously want the best for the players. I mean, they got to come first when talking to the NFL because I mean they're the ones putting their bodies and and careers out on the line every week. But so hopefully these get contained. But unfortunately, the COVID isn't the only thing affecting the NFL. It's affecting another league that we like.
Yeah. Well, I was actually going to go back to another NFL story.
Oh, no.
I'm going to ruin your transition.
You are the worst.
I didn't have it written down, but...
of course you didn't, because...
the Lions cutting Don Muehlbach, their long snapper, after 17 seasons with the team on his 40th birthday.
Yeah.
That was a real kick in the pants to everybody. I mean... he was 40 years old. How many players in the NFL are 40 years old now? You got Tom Brady and you got Don Muehlbach, and there's 1 or 2 others.
I'm not sure.
But I think he still could do the job. But for whatever reason, they decided to cut him, and it just happened to be on his 40th birthday.
Yeah, a lot of people were talking about that, and even the coach came out and said he was an a-hole for.
Right.
But I mean,
he admitted it.
It is football, and I don't know if it was like maybe his performance was going down. Maybe they liked a younger guy in camp, or maybe it was more of a symbolic, like, look, he's been around through all these other regimes that have not. He was there when Campbell played tight end with the Lions. So who knows if it's just let's get a whole new.
I don't know.
You got to get the old out and come in and
Well, the first time whoever's going to be their new long snapper, the first time they have a bad snap, you're going to hear the stadium boo him.
Oh yeah, you're going to hear
start chanting Muehlbach.
You're going to hear the Muehlbach faithful come out. Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the CFL. And
you had to ruin my transition.
I did. But this Thursday's Toronto at Edmonton game has been postponed due to a number of Edmonton players testing positive for COVID, including quarterback Trevor Harris, who we just talked about.
Yeah.
The league is working to reschedule a game, so I don't know. We'll know probably in a week or so if and when that game can be rescheduled.
Yeah.
Hopefully this doesn't become a trend in the CFL.
Not.
And I think the last thing I saw was they played the Red Blacks last week. Edmonton did, and everybody on the Red Blacks team has been tested, and so far nobody is coming up positive. So it's just Edmonton players that are being affected right now. So hopefully this is as far as it goes, and hopefully that game can be rescheduled, and we'll get all the games in this year, because they're only playing 14 games this year as opposed to 18.
That abbreviated season. So we'll see. Man, I hope they can get it figured out.
Yep. But because of this, teams across the CFL are implementing new COVID-19 protocols. Now, just about every team that I've seen, you see a different email or a different
press release, statement,
post on Twitter where another team is coming up with the same protocols. They are requiring proof of vaccination to get into the game, or proof of a negative test. So, I guess they weren't doing that before, but now you're going to have to prove that you've got the shot, or you're not going to get into the game, or you've got to show that you've had a test in the last 48 hours that's been negative. Take that to the gate and show that to the person there, or you're not getting into a CFL game.
Yeah.
That's too bad. The BC Lions have a new owner.
Yeah.
He is Vancouver businessman Amar Doman. He's the former the former BC owner, David Braley, passed away in October of last year. After purchasing the team in 1997, he reportedly left enough funds in his estate for the Lions to operate for several years until a new owner could be found. Now, that's a man that loves his team, loves the CFL. Yeah. He actually owned the Lions and the Argonauts at one time. The Argonauts couldn't find an owner, and they were floundering, and he bought that team and saved them for a few years until they could get a new owner in there. So yeah, David Braley is a real hero to me.
CFL Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah, well, he might be in there eventually, but I don't know if he is or not. But yeah, he's somebody who obviously just loves the CFL.
Yeah.
Or loved the CFL, and I think that's great that he did that to make sure that even after his passing, the team was going to continue and be okay for a few years until a new owner could be found. So. Congratulations to Amar Doman as the new owner. All right, a little bit of IFL news. The Las Vegas Nighthawks are going to be a new team next year, an expansion team. I think it's just Vegas. I think they just call them the Vegas.
They're going to be the Vegas Knight, and Knight as in like the hockey team, because they're owned by the Vegas Golden Knights team. Right. So they will be the Nighthawks. I thought that was a cool name choice. Logo I'm not too crazy about, but whatever. It's just a name. It's just a logo. But that was one more team added to the IFL.
Right. They're going to debut next year in 2022, which will put them back up to 12. And then you pointed out to me just
you put the rundown. This puts them at 12 teams, and I said, wait a second. Because I know the Bay Area Panthers are supposed to debut next year.
There's several teams that are supposed to come back. What is that? The River Kings.
So you got the. Should I run down the list?
Yeah. I meant to write those down. I've got it in a spreadsheet. I knew who was coming back.
So supposedly, and this is all according to. I used the wiki. Wikipedia. Yeah. I know you hate me bringing up.
But I've seen these names before, so I can confirm that yes.
So supposedly next year, returning teams will be the Bay Area Panthers. We're going to get the Cedar Rapids River Kings coming back next year.
Cedar Rapids, that's right.
Yep. Then you're going to have a new expansion team, the Columbus Wild Dogs.
That's right.
Entering
Columbus,
the league.
Ohio.
Yep. The Quad City Steamwheelers should return. The San Diego Strike Force should return, and now the Vegas Nighthawks. So that's 6 additional teams to this 11-team league that'll bring them up to maybe 17
if they all come back.
So we'll see. But that's a lot of teams.
Yeah. I mean, the most the Arena League ever had was 19. And so this is a big
I think it's
a big expansion for them.
Yes, I think it's a big step with an NHL team or ownership owning an IFL team. I think that's key to a lot of these indoor teams' success and longevity, is having some sort of stable ownership or ownership group like a Vegas Nighthawks, having the Golden Knights ownership group. Just like the Gladiators for years had the Cleveland Cavaliers ownership kind of around there. And I think that's the way to go. You have to have some sort of partnership to keep a lot of these teams, going.
Yeah, you mentioned the Bay Area Panthers. They had been the Oakland Panthers.
Yep, owned by Marshawn Lynch, or partially owned.
And they had been trying to field that team for a couple of years, and they finally fielded the team for the first time. And I think they played one game in 2020, and then the whole COVID-19 shut down everything. So they actually played one game as the Oakland Panthers, and now they're moving. I think it's San Jose out of Oakland, so they're moving to San Jose and becoming the Bay Area Panthers. So hopefully, they'll get in a full season next year.
Yeah, so we'll see the IFL. Like we've always considered the IFL kind of the second tier league beneath the Arena League.
Right, they've been around for
quite
a while.
Right, but right now they got some good teams. Arizona's always been a powerhouse. Jumping from the Arena League to this league gave it a lot of credit and clout. Having I think Clint Dolezal being a head coach in that league is nothing to sneeze at either. So the IFL, while they're the top dog in the indoor game right now, they're making some strides and making some good argument for
who knows what teams might jump from the NAL or the CIF.
Yeah, I mean we had the Pirates last year jump ship.
Yeah,
pun not intended. And so who knows who else could jump? I would love to see maybe some of these other former arena teams like the Orlando Predators or the Albany Empire. I think could make a case to jump from the National Arena League over to this league. I think it'd be way more competitive for them over there.
I think when you're talking indoor football, you're talking about location. You don't want to have. I mean, they do kind of have teams across the country, but for an indoor league that's not making a whole lot of money, I think you want regional matchups. Who's close by?
Right now, Columbus, Ohio would be the farthest east the IFL will get. I mean, I think Iowa might have been the farthest before this expansion. I'm just saying they're starting to reach out. They're starting to get from coast to coast. They're inching closer to the East Coast now.
Yeah, but I mean they're kind of a bus league. Where you get on a bus and you go to your next game, maybe a state or two away. So I mean, not a lot of these indoor leagues can afford to jump on a plane.
I take that back. Green Bay was probably the furthest east before that.
So yeah, jumping on a plane is pretty cost prohibitive for some of these teams. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's some more teams out east. Guess what? You got some.
Yeah, go out there and spend a couple of weeks out there.
Right now you got Columbus could go to Green Bay could go to Iowa could go to Columbus. Come on, we're already getting an Eastern flavor a little bit.
Hard Knocks Episode 2.
What's there to talk about? Nothing to talk about.
I am so bored with this season's show. I mean, everybody knows I don't like the Cowboys, so I'm really not interested. But the show, the quality of the show is just not there for me. So
this is what I think the problem was, and it was very evident in that first episode when I don't know if I said it, you said it, if we just talked about it on air, off air, I forget. We said they haven't really focused on the bubble guys.
Right.
At least yet. Maybe they will the second episode.
They kind of talked a couple, but
I think I've realized that the problem is it's the Dallas Cowboys. No, hear me out. Who are they going to focus on? It's the Dallas Cowboys. You're going to focus on Dak Prescott. You're going to focus on Ezekiel Elliott. You're going to focus on C.D. Lamb, who had a great season last year. I like C.D. Lamb as a player on the field. I don't know much about him. Got to see a little bit of him off the field in this episode.
And, of course, Jerry Jones gets his
screen
time.
You're going to get your Jerry Jones screen time. You're going to get your Mike McCarthy screen time. Yeah. Fortunately, we got to meet a new coach, which was kind of cool. That's your highlight of the episode. You can talk about that in a second. But I think we got a little glimpse of a guy on the team, and it was after their preseason game in the episode. They played the Arizona Cardinals, and there was a Cardinals player and a Cowboy player. They were talking after the game, and their discussion, which I think should have been focused on so much more, but it was this little bit where they were talking about how they were the only two guys, I don't know if it was just on that field at that time, that never went to college to play football. They just, where they were thankful for how they got there. And I was like, where has this been? Why have we not focused on this guy this whole time? What is going on?
Afterthought.
Yeah. So my problem is they're focusing too much on the big names of the Dallas Cowboys. That's why I would rather see, like when they do the Los Angeles Rams, because sure, they went to a Super Bowl and they got some guys, but they were able to focus on a lot of the, some at least other guys who are like big loudmouth guys who are kind of roster bubble dudes. Right. At least then we were following dudes we didn't know.
Right.
Here it's like we're kind of forced to follow the big name stars of the Dallas Cowboys because it's the Dallas stinking Cowboys.
Yeah.
And I think that's what ruins it for me. I mean, we got to see some other veteran guys who we didn't really highlight, but it's still like, give me the underdogs of the guys that we should be rooting for. Like you got that Micah Parsons who is turning out to look like a great linebacker in the making there for the Cowboys, first round pick for them. But I can't name any other they had one maybe guy, the edge rusher who was like super skinny.
Yeah, it was the undersized lineman from Nigeria or
Ivory Coast.
Ivory Coast, that's right. Yes.
Yeah, it was like, okay, give me they got at least gave us some of him.
About him.
He was the most interesting part of the episode.
His family was there
family.
at the game. His mom was all dressed up.
Oh yeah. It was cool seeing their whole family how excited they were. It was a preseason game, but seeing them getting excited about him getting his name called or him going in, even though he had this great sack, like strip sack kind of play, which didn't count because of a penalty.
Right.
Like it was still cool, and they were still excited. And
give me more of that.
I wanted more of that, and we didn't get a lot of that. And it's like now he's like the one roster bubble guy we focused on. Right. I need a little bit more, and I think that's what the show lacks.
Yeah, well, I still go back to the Cleveland Browns episode a few years ago, on Hard Knocks. They had that great coach, the big, large size coach. He was hysterical. They followed him quite a bit, and they followed like 3 or 4 bubble guys on the team. And you got to know them. You really felt for them. And then they cut every single one of those guys.
And it rips your heart out.
Yes, and you were devastated. Like, oh, my God, they're letting so-and-so go. And, yeah, it was hard to watch. But, I mean, that's what made it a good show.
That's how you get invested. Like,
right.
That's just storytelling 101.
Right.
I
can't remember if any of them got
picked
signed
up
with
by
other teams, but if they did, the first thing we'd go is, oh, that's the guy from Hard Knocks.
I think there was one guy. Well, I know there was in the Rams one. There was a guy who we were kind of following, and his dad played in the NFL, and his godfather or his dad's friend was Brett Favre.
Oh yeah.
And he got cut. He's a coach for the Panthers, but when he got cut, he got picked right up by the Panthers.
Right.
But, I mean, you were kind of following him, like, oh, okay, this kid seems kind of cool. Like, maybe we're following him, and then he gets cut, and then he gets picked right up. So you're like, okay, good for him. But the whole point is get us invested in some of these guys who are on the roster.
Yep.
Because I mean, everybody already likes Dak. Everybody kind of
that's what the preseason's all about.
I don't like
guys.
I don't like Zeke sometimes, but like I've grown to like him a little bit more. He's been kind of funny.
Yeah.
But because like he had a whole bit about baby getting some baby powder because his junk was itching. That was funny. But like, I mean, and the head coach I could care less about. I don't like Mike McCarthy.
Right.
I think all he's doing on the show is super fake, and I just don't believe it. But your coach, the one guy you liked.
Yes.
Go talk about him.
Their defensive line coach, Aiden Dirty, which reminds me of the song "Riding Dirty."
Oh God, I'd hoped you wouldn't do that.
But
joke.
he's from England. He's got this thick British accent. And the first thing I thought of, even though I'm not watching the show with you, is Ted Lasso. Here's the British guy coming to America.
You said
Ted
that,
Lasso.
and then literally 20 seconds later in the episode,
somebody asked him if he'd seen the show Ted Lasso, and he said no.
It's like reverse Ted Lasso.
Right. But anyway, he played linebacker in NFL Europe for several years.
Yeah.
He played with the Scottish Claymores and the Hamburg Sea Devils, and he also was in training camp with the Panthers, the Carolina Panthers, and the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
And then he spent a year or so as an assistant coach with the Atlanta Falcons. So, I mean, he's been around, and I think this is his second year with the Cowboys. Maybe.
I think so, yeah.
But to me, he was the highlight of that whole episode.
It was great seeing the players.
Listen to him talk, and the other players were making fun of him behind his back, and one guy could imitate him perfectly.
It was pretty good. But I mean, there's a great scene where one player's imitating him. He's sitting in the guy's chair,
right,
pretending like he's running the meeting, and then the coach just happens to walk in, like right
up behind him.
It was pretty good.
Scared him.
So, like, I'm not saying the show doesn't have good stuff in it. It's just there's not enough to go around.
Yeah, it's not as good as past seasons.
It's not compelling. And especially with Dak being hurt, it's just like, well, why aren't we focusing more on the quarterback battle? Like, they've shown one of the two other quarterbacks, but I don't even know the other quarterback's name. They talked about that Benucci or whatever his name is.
Yeah, I forget.
I think it's his second year with the team. He was like a bubble guy last year. And I was like, focus more on him. Like, I want a little bit more of these things, but I feel like their focus is in all the wrong places. We get just a little bit of like, expand on this, and then they don't. They kind of leave you high and dry.
I wonder if Jerry Jones is saying, all right, this is what you're going to cover. You're going to do a little bit of me, and I want some Dak on there, and you're going to do this.
You got on me for actually ripping Jerry Jones. Well, I think he should sue you for that offensive Jerry Jones impression.
Well, I just think that Jerry Jones has got his fingers in this thing, and maybe that's why it's
I'm not
so good.
I'm not sure how much an NFL team has control of what makes air or what.
I don't know.
Because they have to agree to do it. A team's got to do it every year.
Right. Well, this is their third time too, so
right.
So that means
they
they've been
must
bad
like
for a
doing
long
it.
time.
So who knows? I don't know if Jerry Jones has to sit there in an editing bay and tell them what to cut.
No, I don't think he does that. But I think he just makes suggestions, and they're like, "Oh, okay, Jerry, yeah, whatever you want."
I don't know, or how much the NFL's involved, because it is an NFL Films production too. Right. So who knows? But you also wanted to make note that the show's ratings have dropped 59% from 2019.
Yeah, they're up a little bit from last year, but they're way down from 2 years ago, and I can see why. When I saw that, I'm like, that makes perfect sense. Because the show just isn't any good.
Is it just that, or is it also with HBO Max subscriptions? That's another thing I thought about. Like, are people subscribing to watch it on HBO Max instead of
hard to say.
Instead of watching it on actual HBO like the night it premieres? That's my only question, because like I watched it on HBO Max this week. You watched it on actual HBO when it was free or available on your satellite.
Yeah, the first week, we were getting.
But I mean, I'm an HBO Max subscriber, so I mean that's how I've always watched it.
Well, that could be part of it too. Yeah, I hadn't
it's just
about that.
hard to say. And who knows what numbers they release? Any streaming numbers are hard to really know, and they don't. unleash every.
The streaming numbers are to me are a lot different than your broadcast television numbers.
They keep those usually close to the vest unless they want to brag about something. So, and even then, those could be doctored like, oh, we got 80 million views in the first 24 hours. Oh yeah, well that was only, you count a view as they have to watch the video for 5 seconds. Like, did they actually make it all the way through the episode? Like, that's the other side of it. Like, how many people actually completed a full episode, which is probably going to be drastically different. That's a whole different thing. So
okay, we do have a little bit of college news. The Big Ten announced that any team that cannot play a game due to COVID will have to forfeit that game.
Yeah,
it will not be rescheduled. But if both teams cannot compete due to COVID, if there's cases on both sides, the game will go down as a no contest. Therefore, it won't affect the standings. So that's kind of interesting. So, like I said, the CFL is changing their protocols, and college football is looking at what are we going to do if a game gets canceled. So COVID is still affecting college football. It's going to be affecting high school football. Everything. It's affecting all the football throughout the world of football.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's still out there. It's still a factor, and we're going to have to live with it at least for one more season. Who knows? If it's going to affect the 2022 season, if it's still hanging around.
Yeah, and then also we got the Big Ten, who's set to announce after we're done recording today. They're at some point this afternoon. They're going to talk about this whole alliance with 2 other conferences. So that'll be something we'll talk about next week.
Our lead story next week.
Not lead story, but
a couple of days to get all the details.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there's going to be a lot.
It comes out, it's so confusing.
There'll probably be a lot of moving parts. Like, they'll probably make the announcement. People will probably be like, "This makes no sense," or "What do all these different bullet points mean?" And then we'll get the more in-depth breakdowns.
Yep.
And so it'll be probably a good thing that we're gonna wait a week to talk about it. Let it kind of let the dust settle.
Hearing it 5 minutes before we start recording
and trying to figure out what it means.
All right, Arena Football TV on YouTube. They're still at 924 subscribers.
Come on,
when
people.
I checked yesterday.
It's great.
They're looking to get to 1,000, so help them out by subscribing because this is a great site. They now have 600 games out there on their YouTube channel for you to watch. Most of them are complete games, not all of them, but they do have 600. It seems like just the other day we were announcing they just posted their 500th game. That was only just a few months ago. So, yeah, now they're up to 600 games posted, and they've got many more to go.
Oh, yeah, they said they got a lot more they can put up.
Yeah, and one of the games that they posted this week was the Tampa Bay Storm at the San Jose SaberCats.
Oh, 2 staples of the
I think that was a Week 3 game from 2019, but it was from the 1999 season. But another thing that they posted this week, which I thought was very interesting, was the 1997 season review video of the Arizona Rattlers season.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of this.
When they won the Arena Bowl that year.
How in the world did this, whatever company or whoever did this footage for the Rattlers, how'd they get away with using NFL Films music? That's my big question.
That's true. They were using NFL Films music.
I mean, don't get me wrong. That music works great.
Oh, yeah, it worked great, but hopefully they got permission to use that. I don't know if they did or not. But the show was called Shake, Rattle, and Roll, and or was it Snake, Rattle, and Roll? Did I write that wrong?
I have no clue.
I think it's
I want to say it was Shake, Rattle, and Roll.
Yeah, but anyway, that was pretty interesting. We watched the first 5-10 minutes or so. It's only like a half-hour show, but it's like a season recap of their '97 season. So
a lot of great highlights. Oh, Cedric Bonner.
Yep.
I forget who the wide receiver was. He was
Hunky Cooper.
Was it Hunky Cooper? I can't remember if it was Hunky Cooper or not. But man, they had some guys like that. Dude was fast.
Yeah, they were in their prime back in '97. And they're still around today. They're the number 1 seed in the IFL right now.
Well, the team, I mean, not those guys.
Right.
I mean, Cedric Bonner was doing play-by-play at one point.
I think Danny White was the head coach.
Yep, Danny White was head coach. Cedric Bonner the quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, and then I love those whole Arizona Rattler uniforms. I was so disappointed when they started. I mean, well, they tweaked it, and I didn't mind the tweaks, but man, they kind of got away from what I thought made the Arizona Rattlers look just so cool.
Yeah. I actually got to see an Arizona Rattlers game in person years ago.
In Arizona?
In Arizona, yeah. Did I told you this story?
You probably told me this
story. I was out there with my Air National Guard unit. We were down in Tucson. I always go up to Phoenix during the middle weekend because we're always out there for 2 weeks. I saw my aunt and uncle. And there was a home game that week. I think they were playing the Detroit Fury, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, I went to the game, and Before the game, I went to a restaurant which was right across the street from the arena where they're playing in downtown Phoenix, and it was called Cooperstown. And I thought, oh, great, this is going to be, like a baseball-themed restaurant. I said, yeah, I can sit in a baseball restaurant and have a burger or whatever and then go to the game. And I went in there, and it wasn't Cooperstown baseball. It was Alice Cooper.
Oh,
and so all the waiters and waitresses had the dripping makeup, like Alice Cooper wore, and they had a lot of guitars on the walls, a lot of his memorabilia. The menu was based on Alice Cooper. So it was fun. It was a lot of fun. I was totally caught off guard with this whole Cooperstown thing. I guess that restaurant's not even there anymore. And in fact, I saw a special about it one time. Some show was featuring it, and they were talking to Alice Cooper in the restaurant. And but it was a cool place to go and have a burger or whatever. I think their specialty was like a big foot-long hot dog or something like that. I don't know. I don't know what kind of innuendo they were trying to insinuate with that, but it was a cool restaurant.
I think you know.
A lot of, like I said, a lot of cool memorabilia, pictures, autograph stuff on the
Either
wall.
that or he was overcompensating for something.
know.
I mean, what could we be referring to? I don't know.
Yeah.
This is a family-friendly show, Randy. Why are you bringing up foot-long hot dogs?
But it was pretty cool. So, and then after that, I went to the game that night. Okay, we're going to move on to some obituaries this week. And this is where we take a moment to honor those who have made the world of football a better place. And we're going to start out with somebody that I remember very well watching, Leonard Thompson, a wide receiver who also played halfback in the NFL for 12 seasons, has passed away at the age of 69. Thompson played college football at Oklahoma State and was selected in the 8th round of the 1975 NFL Draft by our beloved Detroit Lions. He played his entire career in Detroit from 1979 to 1987. Like I said, I remember Leonard Thompson very well. He was a great player. It doesn't get the kind of...
you said 1979?
86.
You said he played in Detroit from 1975 to 1986. You said it wrong.
Okay,
I think.
Sorry. I'm just so excited to mention Leonard Thompson.
I could be wrong. We'll go back.
He was a great player. I remember him very well. Really liked him as a player. He just always a tough player. Always there. When you needed him to make a play, he was there, making a catch or being like a lead blocker for somebody on the one of the running backs. Great player. Sorry to hear about this. Leonard Thompson passed away at the age of 69.
All right. Our next obituary is that of John Peace, an assistant head coach in college, the USFL, and the NFL, and has passed away at the age of 77. Peace started out as an assistant coach in college at Utah, Fullerton Community College, and Long Beach State, as well as Washington, between 1968 and 1982. He then spent 3 seasons in the USFL with the Philadelphia/Baltimore Stars, winning 2 USFL titles in 1984 and 1985. He then became an assistant coach in the NFL with the New Orleans Saints from 1986 to 1994 and the Jacksonville Jaguars from 1995 to 2002. He returned to the Saints in 2004 and 2005 and finished his coaching career back in college at Utah in 2009, 2010, and 2015. Man, oh man, he just was all over the place.
Yeah, yep. Long career. Our next obituary is that of Dick Shafrath, who was a tackle in the NFL for 13 seasons. He's passed away at the age of 84. Shafrath played college football at Ohio State and won a college football national championship with the Buckeyes in 1957. He was selected in the 2nd round of the 1959 NFL Draft by the Cleveland Browns and played his entire career with the Browns from 1959 to 1971. Did I say those dates right?
I believe so.
Okay. He won an NFL title with Cleveland in 1964, their last title, by the way, to this date. He went on to serve in the Ohio Senate from 1986 to 2003. Shafrath was inducted into the Browns Legend Club in 2003. His nickname was the Mule, and in 2006 he published his autobiography titled Heart of a Mule.
And our final obituary for this week is that of Roger Herring, a longtime college football head coach who has passed away at the age of 88. After spending 10 years coaching at the high school level, Herring spent 31 seasons, that's right, 3-1 seasons as the head coach at Wisconsin Lacrosse from 1969 to 1999. He posted an overall record of 261 wins, 75 losses, and 7 ties, winning 3 national championships along the way. The first one came in 1985 when the school played at the NAIA level. The second came in 1992 after the school moved from Division III in the NCAA, making it the first school in college football to win an NAIA title and an NCAA Division III title. Herring added a third Division III title in 1995. He won 15 conference titles and had 14 playoff appearances. Herring was inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame in 2005.
Yeah, I think I wrote that.
Yeah, I was going to say, you mean this,
the
third title overall, second one in Division III.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'll need to fix that.
All I can do is read what's on the teleprompter
I know.
there. I'm like Ron Burgundy.
I know.
You write it, I reads it.
Yep.
And then you look the fool more for it.
Uh-huh.
You're welcome.
All right. Birthdays for today, August 24th. Former NFL running back Arian Foster turns 35 today. I went to school at Tennessee and played 8 NFL seasons. He signed as a free agent with the Houston Texans and played there from 2009 to 2015. And he was with the Miami Dolphins in 2016. And to tell you the truth, I did not know that he was out of the league. I thought he was still out there playing somewhere.
It's been a long time. I haven't thought about him. I mean, when he first was in the league, those first, 2009, about maybe 2012, I remember him just being a force to be reckoned with. You always, whenever you heard you had to play the Texans, like, oh, crap, we got to worry about Arian Foster. And, he was always one of those guys that had so much potential. And I can't list his stats and stuff at the top of my head. I remember the name, and I remember being like, man, we gotta watch out for that guy. And he, so he was a pretty good running back, not maybe a Hall of Fame career running back, but a guy that you at least like, oh crap, this dude had speed. Yep. He could make guys miss, and so he was a good player. I never knew he went to Miami. I mean, if I did know that, it's been a while.
Yeah.
But
just his final season.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that's it for most of the rundown. Do you want to check your phone and see if there's any news?
Sure.
Before we go into something else?
As far as I could tell, nothing right now. So
okay.
We should be in the clear for you to do what you do best.
All right.
And what do you do best?
Carry you on the show.
Aww.
All right. We're going to move on to this week's history lesson. And this week we're going to talk about a game that featured the Detroit Lions and the Minnesota Vikings, where both teams came out of the locker room wearing white jerseys. If you have ever watched black and white footage of college or NFL games from the 1940s or 50s, it may be very difficult to keep track of who is who on the field. It looks like they are all wearing the same dark uniforms, when in reality, one team could be wearing blue uniforms and the other is wearing red. But in black and white, they look exactly the same. Something similar happened on October 11th, 1964, when the Detroit Lions traveled to Minnesota for a game against the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings decided they wanted to give their fans a different look for the game, so they decided to wear their road uniforms at home, which were comprised of a white jersey and purple pants. Unfortunately, no one informed the Lions about the uniform change, or that they needed to bring their Honolulu blue jerseys to the game. Detroit only brought their white road jerseys with gray pants to Minnesota. So when the game started, both teams were wearing white jerseys. It was very confusing for the fans in the stadium as well as the fans watching on television. After the first quarter, with Detroit leading the game 7-3, the Vikings changed into their purple jerseys on the sidelines to go along with their purple pants. It was the first time in team history that the Vikings wore purple uniforms from head to toe. Today, that would be called a color rush uniform, but at the time, it was totally unheard of. Detroit went on to win the game 24-20. In the game, the Lions were led by quarterback Earl Morrall, who completed 10 of 20 passes for 139 yards and a touchdown. The Vikings were led by future Hall of Fame quarterback Fran Tarkenton, who completed 13 of 22 passes for 237 yards, a touchdown, and 3 interceptions. Future Hall of Fame defensive tackle Alex Karras recorded one of those interceptions, and Lions future Hall of Fame defensive back Yale Larry also had an interception for Detroit. Regardless of the game stats, the score, or the future Hall of Famers who played in the game, It will always be remembered as the game where both teams wore white jerseys for one quarter and totally confused everyone watching the game.
Yeah, when you showed me this other video, it was totally unrelated, and we were watching this, and it was that NFL Films thing on NFL Network, and you're like, you have to see this if you've never seen this NFL Films video. It's like a lot of different stuff, and I don't remember if you were showing me it for the purpose of the Lions jerseys, or if that just happened to pop on, and we both, I never knew about this. Did you ever know about this prior to that?
I think I did, but I had forgotten it.
But it was just like a total shock to me. I'm looking at you like, you're Mr. Football History guy. We're Lions fans. How have I never known that we were part of like the only game in NFL history where both teams came out and wore white uniforms? Like, how have I not known this?
Yeah, and you immediately said, that should be a history lesson.
Yeah, I looked at it. I pointed at the screen, like the Leo DiCaprio meme, and I pointed at the screen, and I said, that has got to be a history lesson you do at some point. This is like a month ago at this point.
Yeah,
so
it's been a while.
You had all your other things kind of lined up, so I'm glad it finally made its way into the history lesson.
It's an interesting story.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Upcoming events calendar. This coming Saturday, August 28th, you've got Week 0 in college football.
It's already here?
Yeah.
Week 0 of college football is here. Oh,
yeah. So you're gonna have CFL, you're going to have NFL preseason, you're going to have Week 0 in college football, and you're going to have IFL playoffs going on this weekend.
No shortage of football, everybody.
So they have 5 games scheduled. Last I knew it was still just 5 games.
Yep.
Nebraska to Illinois.
That's the big one, I think.
UConn at Fresno State, Hawaii at UCLA, UTEP at New Mexico State, and Southern Utah at San Jose State. So
yeah, that Nebraska-Illinois game, that's the one that I'm anxious to check out.
I'd actually like to watch Hawaii UCLA. To me, that's the one that interests me the most.
I don't know.
I've always liked Hawaii.
I know you've always liked Hawaii. It'll be interesting. UCLA, with Chip Kelly as their head coach. UConn at Fresno might be interesting. I'm also curious about San Jose State hosting Southern Utah, just because San Jose State is coming to Western Michigan.
Yeah.
And I think, is that the game I'm going to with you?
I think so.
Yeah, so
25th of September.
And then nothing against UTEP and New Mexico State. I mean, New Mexico State's been pretty good the last few years, so we'll see. I just want great games from everybody that first week.
Yeah.
Or sorry, that 0 week. I guess we gotta go along with their marketing.
I wonder if this is going to be sponsored by Coke Zero
Yeah.
or some other pop that's got 0 in their name.
Who knows? See, you say, I know us Michiganders or us Northerners say pop.
Yeah.
I actually say so. I'm the one person, and I always get looked at funny when I say soda, because I just call it soda. I don't actually say, I can't say pop anymore because I think pop sounds stupid. So I just say soda. And I had a friend look at me and go, "You lived in Michigan how long? And you say soda?" And these are friends, by the way, who just came back from living in Texas for a couple of years, and they're like, they say soda down there, and you're saying soda up here. I will not stand for this.
Do you remember when we went down to the Carolina Panthers game in 2002? We watched the Lions play.
Yeah, that was Joey Harrington's rookie year.
I think so.
Yeah.
Anyway, we were at the game down there in Carolina, and you got up before the game started, and we're sitting in a section which looked like actually a lot of Lions fans in that section.
Yeah.
We were in the upper deck somewhere. But you were going to go down and get a hot dog or something, and you got halfway down the steps, and you turned around and you yelled back at me, "Do you want anything?" And I said, "Grab me a pop." And immediately I knew, oh my God, I said pop. They say soda down here. And the guy next to me, who I had no idea who he was, he just turned to me and he goes, "Y'all ain't from around here, are you?" I said, "No, we're from Michigan."
Hold on. If the Lions Lions t-shirts weren't, I mean, we probably were wearing.
Well, we were actually wearing
rain
ponchos because it was raining that day, and we sat in the rain.
That's our first outdoor NFL game too.
Could be.
I think that's the only time we've been outdoors for an NFL game, because the other 2 times, obviously, we'd done the Silverdome. I think at that point because Ford Field just opened up that same season, I want to say.
Right, yeah.
So we had done Ford Field.
Right, yeah, we were at the very first preseason game at Ford Field.
So we had done Ford Field, we had done Silverdome, and we had done the old RCA Dome at that time.
Right.
So we'd only been to indoor NFL. This is the first time ever you and I had been to an outdoor game.
And it rained.
And it rained, and the Lions were terrible. And I wouldn't say it was a bad time, but I don't know if I don't get how people, you got to be real crazy to go to like a Packer game out in the middle of 0-degree weather. I don't get it.
Well, you also remember when we were walking up to the stadium. We parked the cars a couple blocks away. We walk up to the stadium, and what's the first thing we see? They got those big Panther statues outside the stadium, and there was a girl unfurling a Detroit Lions flag, and her boyfriend or husband, whoever, was down on the ground looking up at this and taking a picture of her with the Lions flag by the Panther statue.
See, I don't remember that. Man, you got a better memory than me in terms of that.
That stood out to me in my mind, and that's where we bought that. I got a pin on the
little,
board there behind you.
You got a little bobblehead pin
from that game. Yeah. It's right there in the top left side.
This makes great radio. Keep talking. I'm looking for it.
But it's by the jersey, very top row, all the way fourth from the left.
Fourth from the left.
Yeah. Up. Right there.
Oh well, no, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about.
No, that's the pin from the game that
that's
day.
That's the pin from the game, but you also there's another pin you got. It was a bobblehead pin.
Oh yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Oh, man, you make terrible.
That's
radio.
Somewhere else on there.
Right
yeah, that
here.
was
a
Chris Wenke. Chris Wenke bobblehead Panthers pin.
Yeah.
On my pin board. So yeah. But I think that was the first time that I ever got it. In fact, I think you bought that for me because I was low on cash.
How did I have cash in 2002?
I don't know. But
that makes no sense. I was barely in high school.
But ever since then, all along the top row, all along the top row of that board, those are all game pins, for the matchup that we were at.
Great radio pointing out your pin board.
Yeah, well, whatever. Okay. Oh, getting back to our upcoming events calendar. Also this weekend, the 28th and 29th of August, the IFL first round playoff games.
3 games on Saturday, 1 game on Sunday.
Yep.
Very excited to see. There's only 1 game, I think, and we're not doing our pick segment yet. That'll be a few weeks from now, and we'll have details on that in a couple weeks when we get ready to do that, because we're going to do something special this year, guys. And but no, I think there's going to be at least 1 upset, and I don't know if I should say which upset it is, but
I'll save it.
Fine, I guess I'll tell you right now. I don't care because I want to be right if I'm right. Dang it! I think the 1 upset will be Duke City will beat Iowa. The number 5 seed will beat the number 4. I know, big stretch, but I think Duke City. I like I said, I don't know if Iowa had a bunch of starters that last game, but that 19 points they scored did not give me confidence going into this week. I see Duke City upsetting Iowa. I think that'll be the lone upset of the weekend because I think Massachusetts will beat Bismarck, Frisco should beat Spokane, and Arizona should handle Sioux Falls no problem. So, but then after that, it'll be a lot of flip
down
of
the last 4 teams, and then it's going to be you really don't know who's going to win these games.
All right, and then you have on Sunday, September 5th, the Black College Football Hall of Fame Classic at Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium in Canton, Ohio. It'll be Grambling versus Tennessee State. A game that, are you going to go?
I don't know. The jury's still out on that. I would like to. But, the outdoor games, I don't always like going to outdoor games because of the weather. I mean, I'll sit through a high school game. In fact, I've got 2 high school games I might be going to this week on Thursday night and Friday night.
Oh, yeah.
But, I really don't appreciate sitting out in the rain to watch games, especially when I don't know any of the kids playing. It was different when you kids were in school, so I knew half the kids on the teams because, you talked about them all the time, or we knew them from band or whatever.
Yeah.
But, nowadays, I don't know who these kids are.
Right.
And, you're just out there rooting for your uniform or whatever.
And then now our last event, Thursday Night Football, September 9th. It's right around the corner, guys. We're a few weeks away.
Yep.
The NFL regular season will begin with the Dallas Cowboys at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Oh, that Thursday.
Will Dak Prescott be ready to go for that first game?
They're saying he might be.
Will it
we'll
be
see.
the backup that we've been seeing on Hard Knocks?
Benucci or Danucci?
How many times will Jerry Jones be shown during Thursday Night Football?
He'll at least be shown like 8 times.
Is this at Dallas or is it
in Tampa?
It's in Tampa. Okay.
Because usually the tradition is the Super Bowl champ hosts the Thursday night game.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. Well, that is everything on our rundown and a bunch of other stuff we didn't plan to talk about today.
A lot of tangents.
But, hey, I had fun.
That makes one of us, everybody. Read your part. Come on.
So we're just going to end it here. Okay, fine.
I mean, no other breaking news.
Okay. That's
no
what I was
other
going to ask. No breaking
news
news before we go. All right.
Unless you want to talk about some other foot-long hot dogs you've eaten.
Well, that's all the time we've got for this week, folks. If you learned something during this podcast about the incredible amount of diversity that exists in the world of football, then we have done our job. Visit our website at theworldoffootball.com for news, links, upcoming events, videos, and more. Our email address is info@theworldoffootball.com.
Actually, I think we did have a foot-long hot dog at the Green Bay Packers restaurant.
Yes, you did. I've got a picture of that.
Yeah.
It was the biggest hot dog we have ever seen in our lives. It was monstrous, and you had to order it.
I did. That was a
and I got a picture of you.
That was a darn good hot dog. I'm just going to say. Foot long or not, that was a darn good hot dog. You can also like The World of Football on Facebook at TWOF Kalamazoo, where we post a lot of unique stories, pictures, highlights, and a bunch of other stuff from all over the world of football, including links to our YouTube stuff we've been doing.
Yep.
Still a work in progress. You can follow the Twitter at TWOF Kalamazoo. New episodes of this podcast are posted every Tuesday and are available on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and YouTube, where the audio for the YouTube should go up there as well. Our YouTube channel is The World of Football Kalamazoo, World of Football Kalamazoo. We've been posting a lot of links to it right now, so hey, go subscribe, rate, review, let us know what you think. Leave some comments. We try to give feedback whenever we get a good comment. We've had a spam one, had to delete that one. I wasn't going to respond to that one. That might go back to the foot-long hot dog thing we talked about earlier.
Way to bring that back around.
Yep. Let us know what you think, and please come be a part of the football conversation. Like I said, YouTube channel is still a work in progress. We're working on what videos work for us, what maybe some people want to see. Our schedule right now. I've been all over the place.
Yeah, your work schedule.
My work schedule screwed me up this week
and
last week.
Yeah, you were laid off for quite a while, so you had all kinds of time to mess around with all these videos.
Tinker and get everything kind of ready.
You've gone back to work, but they've got you on.
They bumped me to second shift for a couple weeks,
so that screwed up everything.
Yeah, that's why we're
next
recording
week you might
earlier.
be going back to first shift again, and man,
once I go back to first shift, it should be fine.
Right,
I can handle everything then. But man, it's just, and then on top of it, last week I was doing some. Not charity work, but I was helping some family members out for the week, doing some other stuff. So yeah, I pretty much ran myself into the ground last week. I was exhausted.
But we do want your comments on the videos that we've been posting so far.
Yeah,
on
share
YouTube.
them.
We want to know, what you like about the videos. Should we do something different? We're kind of settling into a certain style. But if you think there's something that we should be doing that we're not doing right now, or something that might make the videos a little bit better, we want to hear about it.
Yeah.
Give us your comments.
Hey,
let us know.
Like we aren't going to post the full hour and a half show. That was a one-time special thing.
That's a one-time thing.
We're trying to just conceal. I
think that scared a lot of people away.
I won't say it scared. I mean, that's our most watched video right now. But I think I know people's attention spans aren't that long, but right. I do want to get segments of the show out there. But what segments do you like? Right now, we're just doing the scoreboard, and we got the history lesson going up. So we're trying to get those into a routine. We're just figuring out. We just finally figured out how we want to format our videos for your history lesson. So going forward, those should come out a little more during the week. We're trying to come up with a daily schedule, at least 4 days a week, getting some content up, and maybe more depending on how juicy the show is. Like our whole hot dog conversation might have to be a video in and of itself, right?
I think you're gonna say we should delete that whole conversation.
I mean, that's up to you. If you want to go in, you don't know how to work the audio, so
no, I don't. I know how to start it and stop it.
There you go.
And do a few.
You don't know how to go in and get rid of it.
Well, I do actually, because I record the audio early, so I go back and fix.
He's learning, everybody.
Yeah, it's a work in progress. All right, and remember, folks, some people may love football more than we do, but nobody, and I mean nobody,
loves foot-long hot dogs like Randy does.
Loves more football than we do. Join us again next week when we'll review all the happenings in and around the world of football. Until then, I'm Randy Snow.
And I'm looking online currently to find foot-long hot dogs for Randy to have for lunch.
Yeah, don't do too many searches like that. You might not like what you find.
Ew, no, not that one. See you next week.